Hello USD 400 Smoky Valley, and welcome to this webinar update on all things MTSS. As a part of our ongoing commitment to providing information about our MTSS structuring efforts, this brief webinar is designed to give you some highlights of what has been happening in your building and across the Smoky Valley District in the past few months. I'm Monty Couchman, Director of Student Learning. Joining me for today's presentation is Kendra Albin, our MTSS Integration Specialist. A little over a year ago, our district developed this goal statement for one of our accreditation and school improvement goals. Implicit in this statement is a recognition that in order to support higher levels of achievement and growth for all students, our system needed to redesign several traditional functions of our business model so that we truly were meeting student needs. Further, one of the foundational structures of accreditation is that every learning organization has a robust tiered intervention system in place.
Consequently, the KISA district leadership team sought out the TASN agency to help guide our process. This slide shows the working definition of an MTSS model and what we aspire to design and implement across our system. We continue to work with our collaborative partners at TASN. This state agency provides us with training, support, and networking as we work in building level teams to learn about the MTSS model and begin to develop the structures that will support a high-quality student intervention system. If you would like to explore more information about TASN or the MTSS model, please use the URL link found on this screen. It will take you directly to the TASN MTSS webpage where you will find many different resources. Also on this screen, please note the two TASN experts we're working with very closely. Denise Brown is directly working with our K-8 staff on reading and literacy issues, and Susan Danner is supporting the behavior, social, emotional emphasis in our 512 program. We're grateful for both ladies as they bring an immense amount of theoretical and practical knowledge to our training sessions.
After the MTSS training team met with our TASN folks in late October, we shared an email to all USD 400 staff that provided some basic background in the MTSS model. Our teams were given some homework to complete, and those efforts are outlined on this screen. Some of you who have been involved in various collaborative teams across the district may have already seen the teaming norms being modeled in your meetings. Early in November, a survey was pushed out to all USD 400 staff asking for input on a draft of core belief statements. We appreciate the responses shared on that survey as they have helped various leadership teams to continue to refine the statements. Lastly, the MTSS training team has continued to invest time and energy in learning more about the fundamentals of a quality tiered intervention system and to share this new knowledge with colleagues at various staff meetings, BLT meetings, and in personal conversations. As always, your building level MTSS people would encourage you to seek them out if you have questions.
Just this last week, our team completed the second training phase with our TASN partners. On the 27th, we traveled to Salina where the theme of the day was Tier 1 and school-wide expectations. We learned that a successful MTSS program is heavily dependent upon a very strong Tier 1 protocol, including the universal curriculum that's guaranteed to all students and the universal screening tools used to initially identify students who might be at risk and in need of timely interventions. The team also spent time starting to develop a comprehensive assessment plan. This is simply a document that identifies the assessment tools used in a school that support all kinds of purposes. Further, the TASN team shared some guiding principles to help school-based teams to develop the daily schedules that will help ensure structured time and resources can be provided for all student needs.
We also were pleased to see that much of our recent learning about trauma-informed schools and the critical importance of developing strong social-emotional protocols in our schools is closely aligned to the MTSS model. We are encouraged to see that efforts to support students with practices such as morning meetings, families, and the zones of regulation are all evidence-based practices well-grounded in the MTS philosophy as Tier 1 universal practices. As part of our TASN training process, after we have a full day of training in Salina, our consultants come to Smoky Valley and spend another full day with our teams. At the next opportunity, your MTSS training team and your building leadership teams will provide more detailed summaries of the work completed. Soderstrom Elementary spent significant time on the 29th reviewing possible schedules and discussing evidence-based reading teaching models. The middle and high school teams reviewed social-emotional learning models, curriculum options, and potential Tier 1 teaching models for social-emotional skills.
On this slide, we're sharing a visual of the MTSS model. This model teaches that a school with a coherent, evidence-based, universal Tier 1 curriculum model that is implemented with fidelity and guaranteed to be taught to all students will meet the needs of about 80 to 85% of the students served. This is what is meant by a successful Tier 1 protocol. For the 15 to 20% of students who still need further support and intervention to meet learning goals, a Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention model is designed to respond to these needs. The protocols for these tiers require adults to be able to quickly and efficiently identify students who are struggling. We can't wait for traditional reporting timelines used in the past to report progress issues. Thus, Tier 2 and 3 protocols are dependent upon screener and diagnostic tools that are administered and analyzed quickly. Plans for intervening are implemented immediately, and progress is monitored frequently. Tier 2 protocols usually involve small groups of students with similar skill deficits. Tier 3 protocols are usually very intensive and one-on-one designed for students with the most significant needs. However, this tier is not set aside for identified special needs students. Any student can be a Tier 3 student. Another key factor for Tier 2 and 3 is that students should be moving frequently in and out of these intervention groups.
On this slide, we use some visuals to help explain the MTSS model. In the upper left, we see a blood pressure cuff. Every time a person sees the doctor, a routine set of tests are done. This may include taking your blood pressure, checking your temperature, and listening to your heart and lungs. Every time. If all is normal, the doctor just files this information in your medical history. But if something is amiss, such as elevated blood pressure, the doctor is going to dig further to assess what is causing this.
This is very similar to what happens in a quality MTSS Tier 1 model. All students are going to be exposed to a quality curriculum taught by highly effective teachers and will periodically receive a checkup in the form of a screener like AimsWeb Plus, for example. If that screener shows a possible gap in learning, the teaching staff will, like any good doctor, dig a bit deeper to find out what is going on.
This takes us to our next graphic in the middle of the screen. Here we see a microscope. In the case of your doctor, she is likely going to suggest further tests or other methods to determine what is causing your problem. Perhaps blood will be drawn for analysis, or an X-ray or MRI may be given. In any case, a diagnostic tool is going to be used to provide more detailed information. Students who show up on a screener tool will also experience a diagnostic protocol. In the case of students with reading gaps, they may take the quick phonics screener, for example. The purpose of the diagnostic tool is to identify the academic skill gap that needs to be addressed. Students with similar diagnostic findings are sorted and grouped so that focused intervention can be provided.
This leads us to our last graphic on the bottom right, the prescription pad. Once the doctor determines you're hypertensive, then she's likely to give you advice about diet, exercise, stress reduction, and quite possibly some prescription medications to help lower your blood pressure. The analogy for our MTSS model is the Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions. Students receive targeted, specific teaching designed to meet their needs. Teachers monitor that progress just like a doctor in follow-up examinations, checking to see if you've lost some weight and are taking your medications. The TASN process provides us with a very structured and supportive experience. Last year, our KISA teams were in the exploration and application phase, in that we were learning about MTSS models, visiting and networking with other schools who have MTSS models in place, and starting the application to join the TASN network. This year, we're in the structuring phase. TASN commits to providing 5 training days throughout the school year. We are participating in a regional training group that includes Harrington, Hoisington, and Otis Bison, all of whom are also in the early stages of MTSS development. TASN also commits to providing on-site consultation and follow-up. So far, we've met twice in Salina with the regional training group, and Denise Brown and Susan Danner have come to Smoky Valley twice to provide the follow-up consultation.
One major core value of the MTSS structuring process is to do our very best to share new information and to communicate with our stakeholder groups. Webinars and emails will often be used, and the MTSS training team also will share at faculty meetings, team meetings, etc. It is impossible to share everything we get at our regional training meetings. Ask one of the team members to show you their Google Team Drive and you'll see what we mean. Our goal, though, is to include as many people as possible throughout the process. But due to constraints of time and personnel, it isn't possible for all staff to get the same training experiences. This is why a training team, as seen on this screen, is following the train the trainer model. These folks should be coming back to building leadership teams and grade level teams to verify ideas, discuss options, and to ultimately help make decisions about the MTSS model being developed. All staff will soon be involved in some design tasks. You'll see more of this at our in-service days this coming spring. But as always, please seek out your building level team members shown here if you need clarification on anything related to MTSS. Thank you for listening to this MTSS update.